Aleah, what was going through your mind towards the end of the meet against Florida whenever it got really close and stuff, and it was up to you and Haley to finish things off strong?
Towards the end of the meet, I really try not to look up too much to really get into the nitty gritty of, tense and calculations and things like that because I don't want it to get in my head. But I had a feeling that it would be down to pretty much the last routine, and it was. But I just wanted to go out there, do a routine just like any other time, regardless of what the score was.
Aleah, how do you feel about your gymnastics collectively? I know Coach said after Iowa State that might have been the best you had been on 4 events. That's how you stuck everything. So how do you feel about how you're progressing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it is only January. We still have quite a bit of season left to go. And, since Iowa State, it hasn't been perfect, nor should it be for it being January. So, really just trying to, learn something from each meet, whether it's, in the gym, whether it's in the competition floor, and using that fuel as we go on for the season.
And to follow up on that, did last year kind of teach you like the calendar and how long this is? Like maybe in the past you got a little more excited Friday than maybe you should. Maybe stay grounded, or
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the more years you do this, the more that you can kind of prep what your training looks like to be able to be ready for Friday. I think my training plan now looks a lot different than it did freshman year or even maybe sophomore year too. And so, the more times we go out there, the more it's an opportunity to just learn something and be able to stay grounded come Friday.
Kaliya, what have you made throughout the first few weeks of competition?
Throughout the first few weeks of competition, I'm obviously new to this. It's a new environment for me, especially coming from the elite world, being more of an individual sport to now more of a team sport. It's definitely something I've been getting used to, and just competing vault right now, I've been having so much fun with the team and just getting into the new team aspect.
If I'm not mistaken, you were part of the USA Olympic alternate team. I guess just what was that experience like for you, and what did it teach you to now turn that into college gymnastics?
The experience of being a Olympic alternate was an experience of a lifetime. It's been my dream for as long as I can remember. So having that opportunity was amazing for me, just being around all those amazing talented girls and having the opportunity to go to Olympic prep camps and things like that was just so much fun for me. And as we all know, elite gymnastics is very different from college gymnastics, so it's definitely been an adjustment. But just taking what I learned from elite and bringing it to college is definitely helping me a little bit.
This could be for both of you guys. I guess what are you guys looking forward to about heading up to Fayetteville this week?
Yeah, really excited for another travel competition, another opportunity to compete in a setting that's not the PMAC. It's different pretty much everywhere we go, but we're really excited. Arkansas is a great team. We're going to give everything we've got for this week and working on details, cleaning up things left and right because we've got some things that we can work on.
Just going off of what she said, I'm very excited for another travel meet this season and just kind of being in a different environment than the PMAC and experiencing different surroundings and environments. And I've heard Arkansas is a very good environment. It's very fun, so I'm just excited.
Kaliya, I was talking to Connor the other day about what it was like to be a freshman and when you step into the PMAC for the first time. And she says, I don't know what to do with myself. I got to slow myself down. What's it like when you first get out there in front of 12,000 fans?
When I first stepped out in the PMAC, I was just in complete shock. I was speechless. It's literally an environment like no other. So obviously had a little bit of nerves. The energy is very high, so many people cheering, so many people around you, but at the same time, it's just such an amazing opportunity to be out there and have the experience that not many people get to have.
Leah, did you after you named an alternate in the Olympic team, you didn't go to France though, right? You
No.
stayed here. Where were you?
So we had an Olympic prep camp in Katy, Texas. So that's where I kind of trained for a week, and then everyone else went on to
Gotcha.
France.
And Jay mentioned, I think after the meet the other night, you're obviously they'd like to have you do more events. Are you hopeful of that? Are you trying to be patient to do more events later this season that your injuries that you recover will allow you to do that?
Yes, I'm definitely hopeful that I'll be able to compete more events this season. As of right now, yes, I'm dealing with a little bit of a shoulder problem, but just kind of taking it one step at a time, trusting my process and trusting my coaches and trainers.
Thank you, guys. Good job, Link. You did great.
Opening statement, same as Friday night. Can I just do repeat? No. Turn the page and great atmosphere Friday night. As I look back at it and the opportunity that we took and had to compete 13 different gymnasts was, I think, one of my bigger takeaways from that. But now we move to Arkansas and get another road test, which traditionally has been difficult for us there, and they're a much improved team. They've added some pieces in the last couple of years that really make them competitive, and as you know, they made semifinals last year for the first time in a long time. Certainly have a great deal of respect for them and that program, and we understand that we'll be tested, so we're not going to be able to take anything for granted. I don't know what the weather's going to do in terms of the plans that we have for this week, but we'll take it day to day, and right now the 5 minutes in front of our face is our Monday training. So here we go.
If I remember right, last year at Florida, came down last event, they stuck it and pulled out a nail biter, and you kind of did the same thing this time around. Is that kind of how it worked out?
I don't know. You'd have to. Alyssa probably could shed some more light on it. That meet, it feels like for a good portion of the time that I've been here, it comes down to a tenth or so, almost every year, one way or another. And they've beaten us several times in a row, and then we'll turn the table and beat them a couple times in a row, and it's just one of those meets where both teams seem to bring out the best competitive spirit in one another. I think early in that meet, both teams were kind of feeling the situation out a little bit. I think it wasn't until the back half of the meet where both teams began to kind of hit their stride a little bit, and eventually it came down to what the final two routines did, one on beam and one on floor. We led, I guess, the whole way until about halfway through that final rotation, and then things got rolled over, and we really had to have those back three floor routines hit.
What did you make of Kylie Cohen's first competition
Oh,
on
it was
beam?
tremendous. I'm just proud of her work ethic and the way that she's been diligent. I tell these kids all the time, you come to college and you have this vision of how you want it to go, and it's rare that vision of exactly the way you drew it up in your head is the way that it would go. And Kylie Cohen was, if she wasn't at the top of everybody's board as a recruit, she was right near it. And as a freshman coming out of injury and struggled a little bit to get going, and I'm just proud of her persistence and her work ethic and her character and the way that she has gone about her business. She's not an excuse maker. She doesn't look to point a finger or place blame on other things. She accepts responsibility for her own outcome, and just exactly the kind of person you want to see great things happen to. And so for her to get out there and to have success in her first routine was tremendous. I was very, very happy for her and for our team too, because she's very steady on that event, very incredibly consistent, and just she seemed very confident and was poised for the moment. And I think she's very much a great competitor, sort of a gamer in a lot of ways. We got a bunch of those, we're finding out.
I'm not sure if you know over the last 3 days if you guys are going to progress Haley onto more events yet, or if, and then also KJ Johnson, you have any update on her?
Nothing really to share more than I already have on either of those fronts. Although I will say I was at my daughter's cheer nationals over the weekend, so I haven't gotten the full report from the medical people. I will as soon as I leave here, and I'll have a better estimation. I assume we're going to try to progress Haley, whether that means fully functional on another event yet or not, but I'm sure we'll be adding more to her plate. KJ is really, it's going to depend on where her strength and where her comfort level is. She talked like she could have vaulted Friday night. Whether or not that's not an official medical thing, it's just what she was saying. So get a better sense of that as we go. The thing about KJ was she was already vaulting, and we had intended to use her on floor Friday night before we had the ankle happen while we were on the road at Oklahoma, kind of just letting her get her feet wet. And so I just don't know. I don't know what. My anticipation is that she'll be back on vault sooner than later. But whether or not she's able to do floor right away, I just don't know, because that's more of an endurance thing.
There's no such thing as pacing yourself, I guess, especially in front of 13.
Not in this league, no.
In front of 13,500. But do you feel like the veterans that came back from last year's team, they understand the calendar better, or maybe they know how long the season is and what it takes to win a national championship?
Yeah, Jacques, I feel as a coach so far, and the winds of change can always blow, but the entirety of the team seems to have a different level of maturity than what we've had in the past. I don't know if that's as a result of last year. I don't know if that's a result of the people that came back from last year's team. But they seem to be on message. They seem to understand that we're not taking things for granted, that we're not looking in the rearview mirror, and they seem to have a calm confidence about them that we haven't always had around here. That there've been years where we were hopeful but kind of on pins and needles whether it would work, and it just doesn't feel that way. Even in the moments of making mistakes and things, it feels like a calmer, quieter, more business-like confidence than I've seen in quite some time. So we'll see if that bears out for the entirety of the season. But right now, even the freshmen have a very calm confidence about them, and so I'm pleased with that. That eases your mind as a coach as you begin to as they show that confidence. You become more confident in them, and it lends itself to a little more freedom to make decisions and be conservative when we do have Haley that we're trying to bring back, or KJ, or whatever the case may be, because the others who have gone in those spots have earned our trust.
That kind of leads into my question. With 3 meets down, what kind of progress have you seen with the underclassmen performance-wise in the ways they've had to step up?
Yeah, I think they've done everything just magnificently. You had Kaliya up here today, and when we get her 100% healthy, she's unbelievable, athletic. I mean, unbelievable, and she's a special talent, and I know she probably stays a little frustrated because she's a little limited this year, but she's also insistent that she compete this year, and that's she's got the heart of a lion when it comes to that. I think she's done things tremendously. I think Lexi's Ice has done things tremendously, just listening to us and letting us pace her a little differently than what she naturally desires. She's naturally sort of a grinder. She loves to work. She just loves to work, and she's had to kind of learn that we're trying to pull back on her just to preserve her and bring her along slowly. And of course, Kaylin has done what Kaylin has done, and that's amazing in and of itself. So I'm super proud of the whole class. Zoe obviously is out still, and probably more frustrated than anybody just because she sees the success that her teammates are having and her classmates are having and wants to be a part of that. And that, I keep challenging her to make sure that she stays engaged from a personality standpoint and letting us feel her presence. Same with Vic. Vic took a chance on us. She could have gone other places and maybe seen more action early, but has trusted us to bring her along. She's doing a great job on vault right now and also on balance beam, and their days will come as we go, but just the way they're going about their business is great.
I'll probably ask you a variation on the theme of this question every year, but you won your first meet, have the conference standings, you got off to a good start, and then Florida loses to you in the standings, but they move up to third in the national rankings based on their average. What do you, obviously the average is what ultimately means the most thing. It's how you see yourselves in the SEC championship, for example, and certainly the nationals. But you have this regular season thing going on, and how important is it to try to win every week and to win that title?
Well, Scott, it's a balancing act, really, in many ways. We have to. Certainly, we want to win the regular season SEC championships. That's what we're supposed to do. We understand that we want to win championships, and that's the ultimate intention that we have is to win. At the same time, we have to balance that with the understanding of the way our sport is structured, and not allow ourselves to get so result oriented that it clouds our vision about the process that we're going through, and that we got to continue to grow at a pace that is suitable to this team's personnel, this team's circumstances, this team's everything. And so that's where I draw. I don't deny that we want to win a championship. That's never the case. But I also don't look too far off in the future as far as the landscape of things. We try everything we can to stay as present as possible on the task at hand, and right now that is going to Arkansas and putting together a better performance than we just had at home, and that's just where we have to stay. So yes, we want to win the regular season. We want to win the SEC championship when it's in Birmingham. We want to win them all, but we have to do so in a manner that stays local in our mindset to the mile markers that we set in front of us that help get us there. And along the way, we may lose some. I mean, this league is hard to win. It's especially the regular season, because you got to beat them all individually, throughout the year, and that's hard to do. It's also hard to win the SEC championship meet because you got to beat them all on the same floor at the same time. There's no home court advantage or crowd favor, although in New Orleans I would argue that we had a favorable crowd situation there last year. But so it's a tightrope to walk mentally in terms of the approach, and it's just about making sure that we don't get result oriented, that we acknowledge what our goals are, but to do so, to accomplish those, the challenge is for us to not get so focused on them that we forget about the task at hand.
I feel like this team is just really consistent and resilient. I mean, putting up high scores week by week, and even when there is like a dip, there's no drop off with the girls behind them. I guess, what do you attribute that to? Is it the 5 minutes in front of your face mantra that you drill into them? Just what do you kind of put that to?
I give the credit to them. I think the character of the team. We're not perfect, but we try to adhere to certain standards that are relationship driven. And when you're doing things for those reasons, it sounds crazy. It sounds like a Disney special, the way I talk about it sometimes, but I'm passionate about it and I believe it. I believe that when they're doing it for the right reasons, and then we I gave them a quote a while ago. Happiness begins where selfishness ends, and we do everything we can to allay the sort of self-centered or individual ambitions, and to focus solely on the group ambitions and the intentions that we have as a team, because those are shared. It doesn't mean that you don't have personal ambition. It doesn't mean that you don't have things you want to accomplish as an individual, and we acknowledge that too, similar to the question Scott asked me. But the focal point is on the ambition of the team, and when they're doing that, they tend to raise their level. I've seen it happen over and over again, that when someone finds themselves in a role that they didn't think they might be playing, and they're doing it for their teammates, or because a teammate got hurt and they're trying to, bring the group up or honor that person or whatever, and they're doing it for selfless reasons, they tend to rise to a level. But if they do it for selfish ambition, they tend to get tight, because there's this sort of doomsday thing. I want this so bad for myself. And when you want things for other people, it tends to elevate your own performance. And I just truly believe that. And I think it takes the character of the young women that are on our team to believe in that as part of who we are. And they have tremendous character. They just do, and I'm a blessed man to be able to coach a group of people, top to bottom, who have the ability to do that. It's extraordinary in today's age to have a group of 20 or 21 young women who can do that the right way for each other. Not perfectly, not all the time, but in general, that's where their heart is, and it shows in the way that they perform when they get an opportunity.